जय यशोदनन्दन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय यमुना तीरवनचारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रीमद His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada की ISKCON विविध संस्थापक आचार्य Srila Prabhupada की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रीमद His Divine Grace श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रीला प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री श्री राधा नील माधव भगवान की श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की श्री श्री गौर निताय की श्री श्री नरसिंहदेव भगवान की इस्कॉन सियाटल यात्रा की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories all glories all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enters into Jagannath Puri, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and Gopinath Patnaik started describing the different associates of the Lord who have come from Bengal. And after naming quite a few of them, finally Gopinath Patnaik says, Kote ka kahiba ei dekhi jatajan Chaitanya ragana saba Chaitanya jivan. How many names I will enumerate? Hundreds of associates of Lord have come. All of them have only one common symptom. Chaitanya ragana saba Chaitanya jivan. They are Lord Chaitanya's associates. And they have one symptom. Lord Chaitanya is their life and soul. And that's why they are only concerned with pleasing the Lord and serving the Lord. Ami briddha jarator likhite kaapay kar mana kichhu smarane na hoye na dekhiye nayane na shuniye shravane tabu likhiye bada vismay. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who started writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita in his 90s, 1592, the Chaitanya Charitamrita composition began in the famous temple of Govinda Dev. And he says, it is astonishing that I am able to function at this old age. Every limb of my body is ridden by the impact of time. Likhite kaapay kar. As I write, my hands tremble. Mana kichhu smarane na hoye. and I am not able to remember. No dekhiye noyane, I am not able to see, I am blinded. No shuniye shravane, I have become deaf, I cannot hear. But the power and potency of Lord Chaitanya's mercy is such that tabu likhi, still I am continuing to write. E bada vismay. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can use anyone as an instrument to accomplish his mission. Sheshalilar sutragan kori kichu vivaran eha vistarite chitta hoye thake jadi ayushesh vistariba lila shesh jadi Mahaprabhur kripa hoye. So Kaviraj Goswami at the beginning of Madhya Lila starts giving synopsis of Antya Lila. So one may wonder, this does not follow the symmetry of any literature. There is Adi Lila, there is Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. Adi Lila is over, Madhya Lila is beginning, and suddenly the Madhya Lila begins with a synopsis of the Madhya Lila and synopsis of Antya Lila, and then details of Madhya Lila begins. So one may wonder, what kind of literature is this? But Kaviraj Goswami is saying, the reason I am writing this is, I am already in my 90s. I do not have that which all of you have, which you take for granted. Time. Kori kichu vivaran iha vistarite chitta hoye. Yes, there is a deep desire within my heart to describe the details of the Antya Lila, but I don't know whether I'll wake up tomorrow morning. And therefore it is important for me to make sure that I leave behind some hint of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes post-sannyas in Jagannath Puri, rather than give vent to my artistic expression. I wish to describe in detail, but if I get obsessed with describing the details, I may depart. And then there are so many other pastimes about which people will not even know. And therefore, I prefer to write this literature in the service of the Vaishnavas. In the midst of uncertainty, I wish the entire creation and humanity to know that the most important ingredient in devotional service is not assets. Because I do not have the asset of energy, I do not have the asset of time, I do not have the asset of good health. But if you have the right attitude, the attitude of being submissive to the Lord's will, the attitude of dancing as a puppet to the will of the Vaishnavas, the attitude to be ready to embrace uncertainty at every moment, the ability to flow along the river of uncertainty like a fish, then the doors of bhakti can be opened. Because bhakti means only one word: uncertainty. Because the servant declares, I will serve the master. The servant declares, I will fulfill the desire and will of the master. Now, which servant can predict what will be the will of the master next moment? The servant cannot brainwash the master. The servant cannot force feed the master that please give me instruction like this only, because my plans are like this. Make sure your instruction align with my plans. So therefore sometimes it may appear that we make a commitment to a lifetime of bhakti without understanding the depth and the seriousness of what that commitment means. Are we signing up too soon without understanding the seriousness of what bhakti entails? And so here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Thake jadi ayushesh. But if Lord Chaitanya decides that I will live further, Bistariba lila shesh, then I will describe in great detail. Jadi Mahaprabhur kripa hoy. If Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has that desire. So there is a retirement age for sense gratification. There is no retirement age for bhakti. When we take initiation, we vow to chant 16 rounds. And we don't ask the Guru, till when? Till which age? 60, 62? What is the retirement age, Guru Maharaj? So it is eternal. One of our devotees' grandfather was in the deathbed, and all the relatives were surrounding and saying that you will be all right, everything is fine. And then this devotee, he had been out of home for a long time, he came back. And all the relatives said, hey, grandfather is very sick, he's about to depart. Give him some hope. So all of us are telling him, you'll be all right, okay? So you also do the same. The devotee said, but that's not what I've learned. So the relative said, that may be so, but now you are in family, do what we say. He entered the room. Grandfather was on the deathbed. And he said to his grandson, welcome grandson, what message you have for me? And this grandson was a book distributor. He took out first canto, full volume first canto, and took out Vidura's instruction to Dhritarashtra. Andha puraiva badhiro manda pragyamscha sampratan vishirna dantah mandagni saraga kafamudvahan. Vidura chastises Dhritarashtra left and right. Dhritarashtra, you were always blind. Badhiro, now you have become deaf also. Manda pragya, now your memory is also finished. Vishirna danta, your teeth are falling. Mandagni, your digestion is finished. Saraga kafamudvahan, your lungs are filled with so much of cough. When you start coughing, various ragas are coming out. Saraga kafamudvahan. Rajan nirgamyatam shigram pashyedam bhayamagata. Dhritarashtra, you think I am king? There is only one king in this world. Time factor. Time is the only king who rules forever. And then he went on speaking. And all the relatives were surrounding this devotee grandson and telling, hey, what is this? This is not good. He will not feel good hearing this. Speak something positive. He said, Hare Baba, this is the most positive I am speaking. And then finally one of the relatives caught hold of him and said, now enough, get out. And the grandfather spoke, stop. Last so many days all of you are bluffing me. He is the only one speaking the truth and my real well-wisher. Let him stay and continue. Because practically nobody speaks about what is the journey of the soul beyond death. As part of Govardhan Eco Village, I attend many tourism conferences. So in one tourism conference, some tourism minister of a country looked at me. Said, "Hey, you look like a monk. What are you doing in tourism conference? Your subject is spirituality, right? What is it to do with tourism?" I said, "Sir, you don't know? Spirituality is tourism. Spirituality is also tourism. You didn't know that?" I said, "What? Spirituality is also tourism? What do you mean?" I said, "Tourism means what? Taking the body from one place to another place. Spirituality is taking the soul from one place to another place. I am also in the same business." Tourism. So now in the social media and YouTube age, practically whole planet has become life coach. I meet 15-year-old people who are saying, "I am now coach." And they tell me, "Refer some clients to me." So people ask, what is the difference between business coach, life coach, and a spiritual guru? Because all of them speak. All of them have audience. Is there a difference? Business coach will help you how to make more money. In the process of making money, you will be in anxiety. Life coach will help you balance that anxiety. But both of them ultimately guide you only till death. How to make more money, how to balance family, how to help the kids become successful, how to have this, how to have that. Hundreds of things related to your life in this world till death. There are millions of experts on this planet. We are not expert in that at all. If somebody is coming to temple to learn how to make more money and how to have better family and how to improve education of kids and this and that, we are not the market leaders in this. There are hundreds and other people who are much better. So if your narrative is only till death, then the whole world is available. But the moment you say that apart from my financial planning, family planning, this planning, that planning, I also want to add one more dimension of planning in my life. Planning for life after death. I want to add that element in my life. Planning for my journey beyond death. As soon as you add that death factor and the journey beyond death, we have monopoly market. No competition. But the problem is, hardly any people in this world are inclined to plan for this. Therefore, we have a small market. But whoever plans for this, we are confident we have the perfect solution available. Infallible solution. So therefore, that's the idea that the Goswamis, they always followed the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in spite of all difficult conditions, being in the uncertainty and being in separation, they fulfilled the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Compared to the life of the Goswamis and the kind of political situation they were in, India was so difficult politically at that point of time that to go from Orissa to Bengal, you needed visa. You read Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, and 16th chapter you will find when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going from Puri all the way to Bengal, the secretary of Pratapadar Maharaj requests him when he comes to the border, which is near modern day Balasore, and says, you please wait here for a few weeks. I will organize with the governor on the other side to make sure that there is a safe passage. So it was not so easy. And if you read in the history books, you will see that is one of the 1500 to 1550 is one of the most violent periods in North India also. The Mughal rule began in 1525. And therefore, in the midst of all of this, the Goswamis were focused on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Yes, the Lord has given this order, we will try to fulfill it. There is no question of why He is giving us. There is no question of asking, what are you giving us? There is only one question they had. How do we make it happen? That's it. How can this be done? Durapahi alpa tapasa seva vaikuntha vartmasu yatropagiyate nityam deva devo janardana. That privilege of serving the devotees' instruction and order is a rare privilege obtained after millions of lives. One with meager austerity, alpatapasa, will never get opportunity to serve. Seva Vaikuntha Vartmasu, to serve those who are situated on the path of Vaikuntha. Yatro Pagiyate Nityam Deva Devo Janardana. That spiritual world where every moment is a festival of serving and pleasing Krishna. And so, having described the glories of Srila Sanatan Goswami-part, Srila Rupa Goswami-part, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and about Raghunath Das Goswami it is said that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was so totally surrendered to the devotees. His behavior was impeccable. And therefore, everybody loved Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And that's what we described yesterday in this beautiful pastime, where Raghunath Das Goswami is totally surrendered to the devotees. Raghunath Das Goswami is nothing but a servant to the devotees. Yah sarvalaukaika manobhiruchya saubhagya bhu kachita krishtapachya yatrayamaro tulya kala sa prema shakhi phalavan tulya. The power and potency of Raghunath Das Goswami did not come based on his austerities, his ability to control his senses. That would make him a yogi. A devotee's power is not his karmic abilities. Yah sarvalaukaika manobhiruchya. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, out of his humble, submissive demeanor, was constantly serving and pleasing the devotees and giving them respect and love in Puri. And because of which, Sarva Laukaika Mano Abhiruchya, the entire Vaishnava community in Jagannath Puri loved Raghunath Das Goswami. Saubhagya Bhu. And because of their blessings, the shower of blessings, the rainfall of blessings when they fell upon the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami, his heart became Saubhagya Bhu, fertile soil. When the heart becomes fertile, as soon as the Bhaktilata beach falls, it sprouts into a tree. Kachita Krishta Pachya, without having to till. That seed grew into a beautiful plant and gave fruits of love of God. Yatrayamaropana tulya kala sa prema sakhi phalavanna tulya. And in this way, Srila Das Goswami, he experienced pure love of Krishna in the shortest period of time because he was blessed by the devotees. And this is one feature of all the Goswamis, that together the Goswamis have written more than 150 books. Together they have compiled maybe more, almost 1,000,000 verses. But what is common amongst all of them is that they are known and loved by the Vaishnava community not for their quantum of knowledge, but for their attitude of being loving, respectful, being humble and submissive. The Goswamis are as known for their superhuman intellect as they are known for their impeccable Vaishnava dealings. Sushila Sahishnu Shanta Badanya Gambhir Madhura Vachana Madhura Cheshta Mahadhir. The Vaishnava qualities like Sushila, well behaved, Sahishnu, tolerant, Shanta, quiet, Vadanya, to be magnanimous, Gambhir, to be very grave, Madhur Vachan, to speak sweetly, Madhur Cheshta, to have dealings which are loving, Mahadhir, to be extremely sober. Sabar Samman Karta, Koren Sabar Hit, Kautilya Matsarya Himsa, Najani Rachit. Always respectful to devotees and others. Sabar Samman Karta. Koren Sabar Hit, always being well-wisher of others. Kautilya, no fault finding. Matsarya, no envy. Himsa, no tendency for violence. So these are the qualities which are described to be part of Vaishnava behavior. So now we will discuss about Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. But Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's life is very closely intertwined with his father, whose name is Raghunath, whose name is Tapan Mishra. So amongst the Goswamis, Gopal Bhatta Goswami's father, Venkata Bhatta, he became close to Lord Chaitanya during his South India tour. And Raghunath Bhatta's father, Tapan Mishra, he was also very close to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave both of them a specific kind of instruction. So Tapan Mishra was living in a village Rampur in Bangladesh, near river Padma. He was desperately crying out for love of God, praying, chanting, weeping, giving up all sleep. He wanted to understand what is the goal of life and what is the process of achieving that. He could not get any answer. He was becoming desperate and hopeless. He got a dream. And in that dream, it was revealed to him, do not give up hope. Continue having hope. Go to Nimai Pandit. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He will tell you what is the process and what is the goal of life. And therefore, this secret is hidden from the Vedas. Please go to Nimai Pandit and he will reveal everything. So Tapan Mishra's dream was broken. He got up and he was about to start embarking on his way and journey towards Navadvip when he heard that this was 1503 and Nimai Pandit, after being married to Lakshmi Priya, his first wife, was actually visiting Bangladesh at the same time. So Nimai Pandit was there along with Raghunath Goswami in the same village, Rampur, on the day when Tapan Mishra got the dream. Tapan Mishra goes to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he tells him, my dear Lord, I am so fallen, I have no peace of mind, I do not know what is the goal of my life, what is the process of attaining that, how to achieve it. Please reveal this to me. Let us remember that at that time Bangladesh was part of undivided India. And some of the most prominent associates of Lord Chaitanya have appeared in Chattagram, Silhet, Rajshahi, Narottam Das Thakur. So all these are very holy places. But of course, political situation has changed. Few years ago, there was an attack on the ISKCON temple in Dhaka, like 15-20 years ago, long time back, not the recent one. And the one who was attacking came to the temple, and outside on the temple with a book table was an American devotee sitting with tilak and saffron and everything. So this guy who came to attack got confused. Said, hey, who are you? Are you Hindu? So this devotee thought for some time and he said, no, I am Gopi Bhartur Pada Kamalayor, Das Das Anudas. So this guy got confused because Das is a common surname in Bengal. So he thought, oh, he must be some Das or whatever, I don't know. He left. So this devotee later shared that this is the safest position. Servant of the servant of the servant. My life was saved. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looks at Tapan Mishra and he says, my dear Tapan Mishra, there is only one sadhana in this age of Kali. And that is the chanting of the holy name. Ei rupe achandale kirtana sanchare Nama prema mala gonthi podaila sansare. Lord Chaitanya appeared to garland the entire universe with a garland of flowers of prema. And these flowers of prema have been strung by the string of Harinam. Nama prema malaganthi podela sansare. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to deliver the whole world. Agyamala paya harshe namaskara kori Anande dakshina deshe chale gaur hari. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically embarked on the South India tour to inundate the whole of India with this Harinama Sankirtan. Matta Simha Pray Prabhu Korila prema beshe jai kuri nama sankirtan. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the lion roaring at the top of his lungs. He was overwhelmed with, and he chanted this Nama Sankirtan, distributing it to one and all. When Nityananda Prabhu saw this, he made this prediction. Dekhe Nityananda Prabhu kohe bhakta gane, ei rupe nritya age, hobe grame grame. Nityananda Prabhu said, this holy name, this Harinam Sankirtan movement which has been inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya will spread in every town and village in future. This prediction was made in Alarnath itself. So Lord Chaitanya tells Tapan Mishra, the sadhya is prema, and the sadhana is the Harinama Sankirtan. Bhajaner madhye sreshtha navavida bhakti Krishna prema Krishna dite dhare maha shakti. The Navavida Bhakti has the power to give Krishna prema. In Navavida Bhakti, what is the most powerful? Tara madhye sarvasreshtha nama sankirtan nir aparadhe nam loile pai premadhan. Offenseless chanting of the holy name is the means to quickly attain prema that has been defined. And therefore, Devahuti mother tells to Lord Kapila, Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate na tirtha pada sevaya jivannapi mritopisa. One's karma must lead to dharma must lead to vairagya must lead to bhakti. Otherwise, our life is a useless waste. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he very specifically tells Tapan Mishra, this 32-letter mantra is the Yuga Dharma for this age. This is the means by which you can attain prema. Tapan Mishra is extremely happy. And he says, my dear Lord, it is not possible for me to go home. I'll come with you. I'll travel with you. And Lord Chaitanya says, no. You now go to Varanasi. I have spoken to you about the sadhya and the sadhana in brief. When I come to Varanasi, I will speak about this in detail. Go to Varanasi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces him, bids him farewell. And then Tapan Mishra reveals to Lord Chaitanya, I got a dream in which it was revealed to me that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has specifically come to inundate this world with the Harinama Sankirtan. I was told that it is the secret which the Vedas have kept for a long time. I wanted to confirm with you. And Lord Chaitanya says, yes. What you saw in the dream is all true. Do not divulge it to anyone. So that way Tapan Mishra, the father of Raghunath Bhatta, is very special because he was the only person to whom Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressly agreed that I am the Supreme Lord who have come with a mission. The mission of Harinama Sankirtan. Because the age of Kali is filled with distractions. And therefore, all other processes are very difficult to follow in this age. Jnana Marg is very difficult because just to study Sanskrit takes 12 to 14 years. I remember I went to my hometown after many years, and I met my Sanskrit teacher. My Sanskrit teacher was the first person who revealed during the school sessions about various Vedanta Sutra aphorisms. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, Tattvamasi. During the lessons in the class, he would keep asking various questions. What is the goal of life? What is Brahman? What is this? What is that? He asked many questions, never gave answer. He only threw many questions. But now I had joined ISKCON, I thought, whatever I learned from him is helping me, so I must go and, greet him. So the reason I had taken Sanskrit was purely for academic reasons. Because in India it is common knowledge that you can score more in Sanskrit than in Hindi or any other. So I dropped Hindi and I took Sanskrit, for a pragmatic reason, not for understanding Vedanta Sutra. So when I approached him, he looked at me and said, "Arey, what is this? You have joined some other mutt?" I said, "Yeah, I have joined ISKCON." And so he said, "So you are studying literatures?" I said, "Yes, Bhagavad Gita." I said, "I hope you are not studying somebody else's interpretation." I said, "Of course I am studying Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita." He said, "What is the point of my teaching you so much Sanskrit?" The point of teaching you Sanskrit was so that you can yourself dive deep into the ocean of Sanskrit and come out with jewels of different speculative meanings. I have given you the tools. Use it. Okay, tell me, what is the meaning of Arjun? I said, "I don't know what is the meaning of Arjun." He said, "You don't know Arjun?" He said, "Arjun word comes from Rij Dhatu." And he told me in Hindi, Rij matlab सीधा, अर्जुन मतलब टेढ़ा. तो गीता क्या है? टेढ़े अर्जुन को सीधा बनाने के लिए जो ज्ञान दिया वो है गीता. For translation, that it is Arjuna means Rij means straight and Arjun means crooked. So to make the crooked Arjun straight, the Gita was spoken. So I was getting bewildered because I was still new in Krishna consciousness, and I thought if the bombardment continues, I may get converted. So I had brought some Mahaprasad with me. I said, "I don't know, Seedha or Teda, you take Peda." I am leaving. So therefore, the Jnana Marga is not easy. Yoga Marga is even more difficult. Therefore, the process which is recommended in this age of Kali is not that you come and stay in the temple, but you come to the temple and learn how to make your home into a temple. Ghare Krishna bhaji more kora ashirvade, Nila chole asi jena tomar prasade. Lord Chaitanya says to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, "O Bhattacharya, you are a grihastha, give me sannyasi blessings to come back home, come back to Puri after South India tour." So Prabhupada asks in the purport, "Hey, what is this? Sannyasi is asking grihastha's blessings. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave everybody the opportunity to develop pure love of Krishna irrespective of ashram status. And therefore in the entire Vrindavan Brajbhumi there is not a single sannyasi. Jabat ragadayastena jabat kara graham graham jabat mohongri nigado tabat krishnana tejana. Braj is all grahasthas. And they are considered the most exalted. And Brahmaji says, I got bewildered by seeing the Brajavasis, but I now realize that it is not your home or your occupation which matters, but your consciousness. If in the home someone thinks, Raga, I have this attachment, that attachment becomes thief. Jabat kara graham graham. And if you are thinking, this is my home, I am the enjoyer of this home, that graham becomes kara graham. Kara graham is not graham with a car. Kara graham means jail, prison. Jabat mohongri nigado. If when I start thinking, I am the enjoyer, that becomes, that moha illusion acts as shackles in the feet. Tavat Krishna na tejanaha. So therefore the Brajavasis were living in homes, but their center of existence was Krishna. And Brahmaji therefore glorifies the Brajavasis, says, Aho bhagyam Nanda gopa brajau kasam Yanamitram paramanandam Purna brahma sanatanam. Braj Bhumi Vrindavan is filled with gopis, the ladies who are taking care of household activities, taking care of their children, taking care of their husbands, cooking and doing all kinds of things at home. And Krishna has given the highest respect to them. Aho bhagyam, Nanda gopa prajokasam. Why? Because they are constantly meditating only on one thing. How do I please Krishna in this moment? So therefore Srila Prabhupada said, the only reason temples of ISKCON exist is so that people can come and get trained on how to transform their consciousness in their home and convert their home into a temple. And Lord Chaitanya goes to the house of Advaita. And Advaita has made a big feast for Lord Chaitanya. He cooks 750 kilos for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for Nityanand Prabhu and for his deities together. So 250 kilo each. He makes 250 different vegetables. And then the mound of rice are there in 3 plates. And on the top of the 250 kilo rice mound, he makes a crater and fills it with pure ghee. Golden colored ghee is floating. And as the ghee pours, the ghee starts soaking into the rice. So the color of the rice becomes golden. You getting it? There is still time for prasad, don't worry. Madhya pita ghrita shikta salyanyerastup charidike byanjan donga aramugdha soup. So in the Madhya Lila 3rd chapter, this verse comes. Pita ghrita, clarified butter, which is ghee, golden colored. And shali refers to high quality rice, because rice also is with different qualities. And then as this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and sees this, he becomes ecstatic to see how the home deities are being worshipped, because Lord Chaitanya thinks everything is for the deities. After he sits down, Advaita says, this is for you. He says, what do you mean? I can't have so much. But initially when he looks at, he thinks, oh, the home deities are being offered all of this. And Lord Chaitanya looks at Advaita and says, People think practicing bhakti is difficult. People think practicing bhakti in Grihastha ashram is difficult. I declare it is the easiest. Why? Oiche anna je Krishna ke कराए भोजन जन्मे जन्मे शिरे धरो ताहार चरण. Lord Chaitanya says, if anybody feeds Krishna at their home before feeding themselves, whether bhajan happens at home or not, bhojan has to happen. So whatever bhojan is made at home, if it is offered to the Lord at home, aiche anna je Krishna ke karaye bhojan. If you give Krishna the bhojan first, Lord Chaitanya says, janme janme shire dharo tahar charan. I accept the feet of such devotees upon my head. Life after life. Such a simple thing. So therefore, your future will be determined in your kitchen. And therefore Prabhupada said, we are a kitchen religion. And so here, Lord Chaitanya tells Tapan Mishra, this is the simple process I have come to share. Krishna Nam, Krishna Katha, Krishna Prasad. That's it. Everything else is a detail. When, in the initial days, when we were students at IIT, and we started the process of chanting. So one time, His Holiness Raghunath Maharaj was meeting some of us as students, because we were the only IYS boys. Radheshyam Prabhu, myself, only two. So then Radheshyam Prabhu was more philosophical and everything, so he started asking questions. He said, Maharaj, before coming to ISKCON, I used to chant Vedic mantras, Rudram, Chamakam, and all the Vedic chants and all that. So when I chant Hare Krishna, my mind gets distracted to the Vedic mantras. Maharaj said, that is a very pious distraction. And he said, I hope more people have like that. So the process of chanting, as Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo. The conclusion is this. So therefore, the question arises, why Lord Chaitanya told Tapan Mishra to go to Varanasi? Why he was asked to go to Varanasi? It's a very mysterious question. From Bangladesh, uprooting him from his village, telling him, go to Varanasi. Not Vrindavan, Varanasi. Varanasi is the headquarters of all kinds of, impersonalists. What is the connection of Tapan Mishra with Varanasi? Lord Chaitanya in 1503 is already knowing that in 1555 Akbar will become the emperor. He can already see that Akbar will have a different kind of political strategy and he will make alliance with the Rajput kings. The Rajput kings from Amera province near modern day Jaipur would be headed by Bhagwan Singh and then his son Man Singh and Todarmal. So still, what is the connection? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 1503 can see that the Rajput kings have one particular characteristic. They accept their family priests and family gurus from those who are priests in Varanasi. The Varanasi Brahmins become the family guru for the Rajput kings. And therefore in 1503 Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can see that Tapan Mishra's son, who will come in future, will become the guru for Man Singh and Todarmal. And therefore, Rup and Sanatan are busy writing books. But apart from writing books, we also have temple construction required. And temple construction requires funding, requires land, requires resources. And therefore, traditionally in India, temples were always built by kings. Temple building was not the job of the middle class. Temples were always built by the kings. And therefore, although Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that this is going to happen much after I depart and end my pastimes, but he was laying the track for this to happen. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sending Tapan Mishra to Varanasi demonstrates and reveals a very important facet of Lord Chaitanya's personality, master strategist. And therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sends Nityananda and Advaita to Bengal, because preaching to the masses is relatively simple. But preaching to one with power and those who are powerful can only be done by those who have tasted power and have done powerful things in the past. Therefore, not everybody can deal with the elite. Not everybody can deal with the powerful. So Lord Chaitanya reserved the Goswamis, because he knew that development of Vrindavan would require a close political alliance with the powers that be in Agra. And Agra was the headquarters of the Mughals. Between Agra and Delhi, support would be required. And therefore Lord Chaitanya chose people like Rupa and Sanatan, who were ex-prime minister, ex-finance minister, and others who were politically savvy. And so, in 1503, after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Tapan Mishra, he goes to Varanasi. After he goes to Varanasi, Raghunath Bhatta was born in 1505 in Varanasi. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Varanasi in 1515 on the way to Vrindavan. Dashera of 1515, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leaves from Puri on the way via Jharikhand and then stops at Varanasi. Lord Chaitanya in Varanasi bathes in Manikarnika Ghat. Tapan Mishra is also bathing. And then he hears, Tapan Mishra suddenly hears, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna mantra chanting. In Varanasi. And then suddenly he turns around and he sees Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tapan Mishra immediately requests Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to his home. And right in front of his home, there is a beautiful banyan tree, which is still known as Jatana Bhat. But the original name was Chaitanya Bhat, the banyan tree under which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would rest after taking his daily meals at Tapan Mishra's house. Tapan Mishra was very saddened to see Lord Chaitanya as a sannyasi, because he had seen him in 1503 as a grahastha with full hair. And then he fell at his feet. Lord Chaitanya picked him up and he brings him home And the first thing Tapan Mishra does is surrenders his son Raghunath Bhatta at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Raghunath Bhatta was born in 1505, so in 1515 he was 10 years old. Tapan Mishra worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, made him to take meals there. And after meals, every day Raghunath Bhatta would massage Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And then the whole family of Tapan Mishra would honor the Mahaprasad remnants of Lord Chaitanya. So that is how Tapan Mishra got the sanskars, the spiritual potency, from the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and from the Mahaprasad remnants of Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya proceeds from Varanasi towards Vrindavan, Tapan Mishra says, "My dear Lord, I want to come with you." Lord Chaitanya says that sees that Tapan Mishra is insistent, so he agrees to stay for a few more days. And he stayed for 10 days. So Lord Chaitanya on the way to Vrindavan via Jharkhand, when he comes to Varanasi, stays for 10 days. And there he talked about sadhya and sadhana. And as Lord Chaitanya spoke about sadhya and sadhana, the sambandha, abhideya and prayojan to Tapan Mishra, 10-year-old Raghunath Bhatta would sit and hear to those teachings. So hearing Lord Chaitanya, massaging Lord Chaitanya and taking the remnants of Lord Chaitanya, this is how Raghunath Bhatta got empowered. On the way back, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Vrindavan and stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya for 2 months. And he would take prasadam daily at Tapan Mishra's house. Prabhura charanodaka savamshe koila pana bhattacharyer puja koila koriya sammana. Lord Chaitanya was received by Tapan Mishra and he offered him great respect. Prabhure nimantran kori ghare bhiksha dila Balabhadra Bhattacharya Paka Karaila. And Tapan Mishra gave space for Balabhadra Bhattacharya to cook for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhiksha kori Mahaprabhur korila shayan Mishra putra Raghu kare Pada Samvahan. And after meals, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take rest, Mishra putre Raghu kare, Raghunath Bhatta would do Pada Samvahan, massage his feet. And at this point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving his intimate mercy to them. Nirantara duhe chinti tomara charan Sarvagya Ishvara Tumi Dila Darshan. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very merciful to these two associates, Chandrasekhar Acharya and Tapan Mishra. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his mercy and gave his message that bhakti is beyond one's birth. Whatever may be one's birth, when one takes to the process of bhakti, one can get completely transformed. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not only delivered Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar Acharya, who were Brahmins, but also hundreds of others in Jharkhand forest. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, they have given this very, very special benediction that bhakti or devotional service is beyond caste and birth. I was called for a conference recently organized by the Hindu groups in India. And it had all various spiritual leaders, Mahants, 60, 70, 80-year-old Mahants were there, with long, long beard and everything. And I was made the keynote speaker. So I was wondering, what makes them give me this particular privilege? And then the person who was organizing, he said, one of the biggest challenges in India's 2 million temples is even today, apart from the Hindu temples in big cities, if you go to the interiors in villages and other places, the entry to the temple is based on caste. And it is not theoretical, it is reality. And therefore they said, we appreciate ISKCON because ISKCON all over the world has established temples where anybody and everybody is allowed irrespective of caste consideration. So I didn't realize at that time. And therefore in the Bhagavatam, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulukasha Abhira Shumba Javana Khasadaya Yenyecha Papa Yadapashraya Shuddhyanti Tasmai Prabhaveshnave Namaha. Yadapashraya, the only process is take shelter of devotees. If you have taken shelter of the devotees, then whatever may be your birth and background, transformation is guaranteed. So therefore, this is very important. I remember many years ago, we had a, donor. He was a friend of mine, but he was, very much influenced by the fact that you can only be a speaker and a preacher if you are born Brahman. And because I am from a Brahman family, he really liked me. And he used to come and, regularly listen. And then we began the first canto Bhagavatam series. He came up and said, I want to sponsor the prasadam. As long as you are going to speak first canto, the entire first canto prasad will be sponsored by me. He told in 97. He didn't realize that I took the first canto till 2002. Went on for 5 years. After 2-3 years, he came up to me and asked me, "Aur kitna chalega first canto?" I said, "हम कौन होते चलाने वाले?" So, one time, one of the brahmacharis just joined, and I took him to meet Maharaj. And Raghunath Swami looked at this brahmachari and said, "So you are joining today?" He said, "Yes." So I told him, "Maharaj, so he's going to shave up today." So Maharaj said, "Who is going to shave him?" I said, "We have one brahmachari going to shave." Maharaj looked at me and said, "No, you should shave him." I said, "I have never shaved anybody, Maharaj, like this." No, you should shave. You should also become barber. You become servant of the servant. So I said, "Okay, fine." I took him and we were shaving. That is the time this donor friend of mine came to meet Raghunath Swami. And then as soon as Maharaj looked at him, "Oh, you have come. So do you know where is Gauranga?" He says, "No." "Come, I'll take you." And Maharaj brought him right into the place where I was shaving. And he showed to the donor, "See what your Gauranga is doing." And this devotee, this donor was shocked. He looked at me, "Gauranga ji, nai ban gaye? You have become barber?" So I said, No, I'm just doing that. Oh. So Maharaj said, Look, what he's doing, look. The great Bhagavad speaker, he's shaving." So he was trying to make his point that when you come to the process of Krishna consciousness, irrespective of what your birth or background may be. By taking shelter of the devotees, transformation happens. So although Tapan Mishra himself was Brahman, but he made Raghunath Bhatta take shelter of Lord Chaitanya. So the process is not your birth. The process is how you take shelter. And so at this point, Tapan Mishra says, Mishra ko he Prabhu javat kashi te rohiba, mor nimantrana bina anya na maniba. Please, always, every day, for the next 2 months, take prasad at my house only. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he was bound by his devotees' love. So Lord Chaitanya for those 2 months stayed with Chandrasekhar Acharya and ate prasadam with Tapan Mishra. Eimata Mahaprabhur Doi Bhrityer Bashe Ichha nahi tabu tatha Rahila dina dashe. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came under the influence of his 2 devotees. Dui Bhrityer Vashe. So the Lord always becomes controlled by his devotees' love. And therefore the Damodar Leela is very special. Swamatu Svinna Gatraya Visrishta Kabarasraja Drishtva Parishramam Krishna Kripayasit Swabandhane. As Yashodama is trying to bind Krishna, perspiration is falling from her forehead. The Mallika flowers are falling from her hair. Krishna looks at Yashodamai and he becomes overwhelmed with affection. Drishtva Parishramam Krishna. Seeing her effort, Kripayasit Swabandhane. Krishna agrees to be bound by Yashodamai. And therefore, the essence of Damodar Leela is Evam Sandarshita Hyanga Harina Bhritya Vashata Svavashena pi Krishnena Yasyedam Seshwaram Pashe. Krishna wanted to demonstrate that I become controlled by my devotees' love. Bhritya Vashyata. Svavashena pi Krishnena. That Krishna who cannot be controlled even by the 330 million demigods. Yasyedam Seshwaram Pashe. He became controlled by Yashoda Mai's love. And therefore, Janmashtami we celebrate for a day, Gaur Purnima we celebrate for a day, Radhashtami we celebrate for a day. But Damodar Leela we celebrate for a month. When Krishna becomes controlled by his devotees' love. So when Krishna is trapped by Mother Yashoda's love and bound by the ropes as Damodar, Balaramji comes there. Balaramji looks at Krishna and says, Hey, Krishna, what happened? How come you are bound? Who could do this to you? And Krishna looks at Balaram and says, You are supposed to be the elder brother. Your duty is to protect me, not stand here and make comments and ask questions. What is the use of you being elder brother if in your presence such injustice is happening in Braj? Innocent person like me is being bound. What's going on? Are you my elder brother or not? Balaramji, of course. So then do something. Release me. Balaramji, okay, I'll do it. He goes inside and starts shouting at the top of his lungs. Who bound Krishna? Who bound up Krishna? Who did this? How can such injustice happen? Yashoda Mai comes out with a stick, looks at Balramji and says, why you are shouting so much? Who bound up Krishna? I bound Krishna. What you will do? So Balramji says, Yashoda Mai, you don't know who's Krishna? She says, who's he? Balramji says, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Rama avatar comes from him, Narsingh avatar comes from him, Bhavana avatar comes from him, all the avatars come from him. Yashoda Mai looks at Balram and says, then who are you then? Balramji says, me. I am the first expansion of Krishna. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, all these avatars come from me. Yashoda Mai picks up her stick and says, all the avatars had to be born in my house only or what? If you speak any further, I'll bind you also. Balramji goes running to Krishna and says, Krishna, I tried, but she is very powerful. And you know what? You also have done enough crime. So it's good to be bound a little bit. So the Acharyas explained that Krishna enacts this entire pastime just to show the power of devotees' love. Jasyedam sa Ishwaram vashe. So now, after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu leaves Jagannath Puri, leaves Varanasi for Puri, Raghunath Bhatta's heart was pining for Lord Chaitanya's darshan and seva. And then he was thinking, when will the day come when I'll again have his darshan? His education was complete. He became a Shastra Vidwan. Antalila describes, Etha Tapan Mishra Putra Raghunath Bhattacharya Prabhure Dekhite Chalila Chhadi Sarva Karya. So, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami in 1525 leaves Varanasi and he decides, I will go and meet Lord Chaitanya in Puri. He is 20 years old. He goes via Bengal. There he meets one great devotee called Ramdas Vishwas. And then he's a Ram Bhakta chanting Ram Nam 24 hours. And he was serving Raghunath Bhatta Goswami with great devotion, carrying his luggage, massaging him and all that. Ramdas was again and again, Raghunath Bhatta was telling him, don't serve me like this. And Ramdas would say, my duty is to serve you. You are so exalted. That's the religious principle. Don't be hesitant. I am your servant. When I serve you, my heart becomes jubilant. E mate Raghunatha aila nila chale Prabhura charane jaya milila kutuhale. As soon as he arrived in Puri, Raghunath Bhatta goes to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Danda paranama kori Bhatta podila charane Prabhu Raghunath jani koila alingane. And when he offers obeisances, Lord Chaitanya immediately embraces Raghunath. Raghunath Bhatta offers obeisances on behalf of Tapan Mishra and also Chandrasekhar Acharya. And Lord Chaitanya inquires about them. Lord Chaitanya says to Raghunath Bhatta, very good you came, go and have darshan of Lord Jagannath and let's have prasadam together. And then he introduces Raghunath Bhatta to all the devotees. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his association to Raghunath Bhatta for 8 months in 1525. Ei mata Prabhu sange rohila ashtamasa dine dine Prabhur kripaye badhaye ullasa. Ei mata Prabhu sange. For 8 months he stayed. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy also grew. And his ecstasy grew. Madhya Madhya Mahaprabhur Koren Nimantran Gharabat Koren Ar Bibida Byanjan. So Raghunath Bhatta had a unique quality. He was expert in speaking the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was expert in cooking the nectar of Krishna Prasadam. He was an expert cook and he was an expert speaker of the Bhagavatam. Raghunath Bhatta Pake Oti Sunipun Jairandhe Se Hoye Amrite Rasam. Raghunath Bhatta Pake Ati Sunipun was expert in cooking. Jairandhe, whatever he cooked, Se Hoye, that became Amrite Rasam, became like nectar. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would thus honor prasadam with great satisfaction. Parama santoshe prabhu korena bhojan prabhura avashishta patra bhattera bhakshan. So this was the daily ritual that he would cook for Lord Chaitanya, feed Lord Chaitanya, and then have the remnants. So Srila Prabhupada emphasized that the devotees should for the Lord. Attention to detail is a symptom of love. And Srila Prabhupada himself cooked and he trained the devotees how to cook. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also through Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is demonstrating this principle. In our yatra in 2008, for many years we were just outsourcing our cooking to various contractors. And right from 93, from the time I joined, I have been taking care of the prasadam in the yatra. But for almost 15 years it was outsourced to different vendors, different contractors. And they could never ever match the expectations of the Hare Krishna, Sangha. Because devotees have good appetite for prasad. And then devotees don't drink chai, coffee, this, that, in between meals and all. So it's just meal to meal. So I remember in 1994 South India Yatra, when we had gone to Rameshwaram, Srirangam and all those places, we had a contractor, prasadam contractor. He could never figure out the numbers. That 94 yatra we had 200 people. I was in charge of the prasadam. And I speak Tamil also. I was very clearly communicating that I need for 200 people. And what he would do was like a small bucket which just a dozen brahmacharis would finish. So I would tell him, Hare, you are giving only this much. He says, Hare, I am doing all kinds of marriage parties all the time. This is how much I provide, Baba. You guys are eating or what are you doing? So practically for years together, we struggled to provide the right prasadam. And then finally in 2008 we decided we will only do our cooking. So after 2-3 days of cooking, some devotee came to me and said, you guys are cooking and getting all the mercy. We also want some mercy. So we will cook. I said, Baba, this is for 3,000-4,000 people. Have you cooked? He said, unless you give a chance, how will cook? This is the problem with ISKCON. You don't believe in empowering. Unless you empower, how will the next generation learn? I said, Hore Baba, next generation, 3 days only have passed. He says, no, at least allow us to cook some breakfast. So we allowed them to cook. So it was poha. And they didn't know how to make it properly. It became very hard. So I figured out it's going to be a hard day for me. Because nobody knows who has cooked. They will think, okay, I'm responsible. Everybody will start giving feedback. So I disappeared for that day. I hid myself. During the whole breakfast time, I thought nobody will be able to catch me. So after everybody had gone for parikrama, then I came out for lunch cooking. And then after lunch, I was sitting in the kitchen thinking, now people may have forgotten what happened in breakfast. But one devotee came searching for me inside the kitchen. He loves giving feedback. Feedback Priyadas. He came into the kitchen and said, hey, what was that you cooked in the morning? The poha was so hard. My 32 teeth came out. I said, that was not poha, that was cornflakes. He said, what? Cornflakes? Yeah, you're supposed to mix with your herbal tea and drink. He says, hey, you never told me. I said, you never asked me. So he got confused, so I disappeared from there. So many times, we may think that, okay, real bhakti is all about sadhana, chanting, this, that. But every facet of devotional service is important. And Lord Chaitanya, through different Goswamis, is revealing various things. Raghunath Bhatta, to his credit, amongst the 6 Goswamis, did not write a single book. Dedicated himself to the supreme book, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyameka Sahitam Jnanam Param Giyate Yatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyama Vishkritam Tat Shrinvan Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchetnara. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the Paramahamsa Samhita. And it transforms our heart with Jnana, Vairagya and Bhakti. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami spent day and night just studying and speaking from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Never wrote any separate book of his. So Rupa Goswami was an author, Sanatan Goswami was an author, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was an author, Jiva Goswami was big time author, Raghunath Das Goswami also wrote books. But Raghunath Bhatta Goswami never wrote any book. So, at the end of 8 months, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bid farewell to Raghunath Bhatta. Ashtama rahi Prabhu Bhatte Bedai Dila Vivaha na koriha boli Nishedha korila. After 8 months, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was bidding him farewell, Bhatte Bidai Dila, as he was doing Bidai, what did he say? Lord Chaitanya gave instruction to Raghunath Bhatta. Vivaha na koriha boli, nishedha korila. Lord Chaitanya gave only one instruction. Do not get married. So Srila Prabhupada writes an interesting purport. And he says that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had become a greatly advanced devotee while still unmarried. Mahaprabhu could see this and therefore advised him not to begin this process of marriage. Raghunath Bhatta, being an advanced devotee of Krishna, had no desire for this. And therefore Lord Chaitanya advised him not to enter married life. So if you see, just a few minutes ago I was quoting a verse where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying the Grihastha ashram and describing about how one can actually perform the best of bhakti in any ashram. And now if you read this purport, then you will see that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is stopping Raghunath Bhatta from marrying, and in the purport Prabhupada is also writing heavy stuff about Grihastha ashram. So therefore, when you are studying Srila Prabhupada's books and the scripture, we cannot do that with a immature, polar mindset. One has to have a holistic approach. And therefore, the Shastras speak to different audiences through different sections. So if there is a saffron ceremony going to happen in temple, so in saffron ceremony, when we do that in temple, this purport is one of my favorite. Whereas if somebody is called for a wedding lecture, and then he picks up this verse and purport, then he may be asked to leave without getting prasad also. So different shloks for different folks. So therefore, maturity means the ability to pick the right lenses. So every shloka, every verse is like a lens. And depending on what is the image you want to see, you will pick a certain lens. The rose looks beautiful, but if it is seen through high magnification lens, the same beautiful rose will look ugly. And then you have other lens which throws the image back further. So maturity means the ability to pick the right lens. And that maturity comes as a result of three things. Sukriti, which is serving and pleasing the devotees. Then you get Kripa, the mercy of the devotees. When there is Sukriti and Kripa, then the third thing comes Vivek, which is the right discrimination. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Raghunath Bhatta, Vruddha mata pitar jai, Karaha sevan, Vaishnava pasha bhagavata, Karaha adhyayan. So this is also interesting that to Raghunath Das Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, just run away. And to Raghunath Bhatta, he is saying, go and serve. And interestingly, Raghunath Das's father, Govardhan Mazumdar, and his uncle, Hiranya Mazumdar, were the biggest donors for Lord Chaitanya's movement. So Lord Chaitanya did not get into classic donor cultivation. He didn't think, donor will get upset or this or that. He said, you are left, sense gratification, very good. Whereas to him he is saying, Vriddha mata pita jai karaha sevan. Serve your elderly mother and father. And Vaishnava pasha bhagavata kara adhyayan. Go and study the Srimad Bhagavat from a Vaishnava, from a real Bhagavata, not a professional. Serve your mother and father because they are devotees, they are advanced in Krishna consciousness. Chadya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paye Chekeba. An advanced devotee is free from material bondage and personifies Bhagavatam in life and action, and approach a realized soul. So he told him, remain unmarried and study the Bhagavatam. One of our brahmacharis was distributing books in the local train in Mumbai, and someone challenged him, you guys keep distributing books for so many years. How many Vivekanandas you have given birth to? They said, I'm sorry, but we are brahmachari, we don't give birth to anybody. So he got totally bewildered and he purchased a book. So in Holland, a visitor would come to the temple and the pujari at night, after putting the deities to rest, would bring out nice sweet rice which was offered to the deities, and then he would call this person, come here. And when he would come near, he would give him this sweet rice. And this new visitor loved the sweet rice and he said, fantastic. He came again. Next day again he was searching, where is that pujari? The pujari saw him, called him, and then gave him the sweet rice. This happened for almost 1 week every day. And this visitor thought, amazing. If every week I'm coming like this, I'm getting so much benefit. After a month he decided, let me join temple only. The day he joined, the pujari called him again. He came running. The pujari gave him the sweet rice and said, you see that new person? Give him the sweet rice now. Distribute. Spread the message. Serve and share. So therefore, Name Ruchi is aspiration to serve. Vaishnava Seva is action to serve. And Jiva Daya is access to serve. And that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to deliver. Punarapi ekabara asiha nilachale etaboli kantha mala dila tara gale. Lord Chaitanya told Raghunath Bhatta, after you have taken care of your parents and after they depart, Punarapi ekbar asiha, come to Nilachal once more. Etaboli kantha mala. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his garland to him, dilatara gale, on his neck. Alingana kari Prabhu, bidaye tare dila, preme gar gar bhatta, kandite lagila. Preme gar gar bhatta kandite lagila. Raghunath Bhatta became overwhelmed with prema and started crying. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him, Alingana kari Prabhu, bidaye tare dila, and bid him farewell. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami takes the permission of Lord Chaitanya and Swarup Damodar Goswami and the devotees and goes to Varanasi. And then he serves his parents for 4 more years. Chauri vatsara ghare pita mata seva koila, Vaishnava pandita thai, Bhagavata padhila. For those 4 years he served his parents and also studied Bhagavatam under a Vaishnava Pandit. Pita mata kashi paile udasin hoya, Punah prabhur thai aila grihadi chadiya. After 4 years, both Tapan Mishra and his wife departed. Pita Mata Kashi Paile, attained Kashi, means they departed. Udasina hoya, Raghunath Bhatta became detached. Punah Prabhur thai aila. He decided, it is time for me to come to Lord Chaitanya again. Grihadi chadiya, giving up his home. And this was 1529. The second visit in 1529, Raghunath Bhatta stayed for 8 months. So previously also he had stayed 8 months. So total 16 months. Purvavata ashtamasa prabhupasha chila, ashtamasa rahi puna prabhu agya dila. Just like previously, 8 months he stayed with Lord Chaitanya. At the end of 8 months, Lord Chaitanya gave him the order. Amar Agyaya Raghunath Jah Vrindavane Taha Jah Rah Rupa Sanatana Sthane. My dear Raghunath Bhatta, I order you, instruct you, please go to Vrindavan. Taha Jah Rah. After going there, stay with Rupa Sanatana Sthane. Stay with Rupa and Sanatana and assist them in their mission. And what will be your specific mission within the mission of assisting Rupa and Sanatan? Bhagavata pada sada lah Krishna nam Ochire koriben kripa Krishna Bhagavan. You will have two important responsibilities: to continuously study Bhagavatam and Sada Laha Krishna Nam, and to chant the holy names of Krishna. Ochire koriben kripa Krishna Bhagavan. And very soon Krishna will accept you. So it is very interesting that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling him to continuously study Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya is not telling him details about what to do with making disciples and this and that. But he was also given instruction to make disciples. Gopal Bhatta Goswami made disciples of those from the western and Raghunath Bhatta from eastern. Eta boli Prabhu tare alingana koila Prabhura kripate Krishna preme matta hoila. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him, Prabhur kripate, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Krishna preme matta hoila, he became maddened with ecstasy. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him mala, Tulasi mala, Jagannath's mala, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his beetle as Mahaprasad, which is Pana. And these were the gifts given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these are the Mahaprasad remnants of Lord. Prabhura thani agya laya gela Vrindavane Ashraya korila asi Rupa sanatane. Getting the order from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes and takes shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. Rupa Gosaira Sabhai Koren Bhagavata Pathan Bhagavat Padhite Preme Aulai Taraman. And as he is speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of Srila Rupa Goswami, his mind becomes filled with transcendental ecstasy and joy. Preme Aulai Taraman. He becomes overwhelmed with ecstasy. Ashrukampa Gadgada Prabhura Kripate Netra Kantarodhe Bashpa Na Pare Podhite. And as tears of ecstasy start flowing from his eyes, he is unable to study the Bhagavatam because of that tears falling from his eyes. Krishnera Saundarya Madhurya Jabe Pade Shune Premete Vihvala Tabe Kichui Na Jane. By hearing Lord Krishna's Saundarya and Madhurya, he would become filled with ecstasy. Govinda Charane Koila Atma Samarpan Govinda Charana Jara Pranadhan. And therefore he accepted Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev as his worshipable deity. Kaviraj Goswami's worshipable deity was Madan Mohan. Kuladhi devata more Madan Mohan, Jar sevak Raghunath Rupa Sanatan. Whereas for Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, his worshipable deity is Govinda Dev. Govinda Charane Koila Atma Samarpan, Govinda Charanaravinda Jara Pranadhan. So, now Kaviraj Goswami describes in very passing reference in only one verse. So many other verses glorifying qualities are described. But one of the most historical activities of creating and constructing the Govinda Dev Mandir, which is the equivalent to almost 700 crores of today's wealth. Nij shishye kohi Govindera mandir karaila, Vamshi makara kundaladi bhushan kori dila. Just in one verse. The contribution of Raghunath Bhatta in constructing Govinda temple is finished in one verse. All his other personal qualities are described in so many verses. But that he organized through Mansingh and Todarmal by influencing Akbar to get a temple, huge temple of Govinda Dev constructed, it is just passing reference. Nij shishye kohi Govinder mandir koraila, by telling his disciples. So Raghunath Bhatta instructed Mansingh and Todarmal. That's it. Vamshi makara kundaladi bhushan koridila. And this describes the opulence with which Govinda Dev was worshipped in those days. So Akbar became 1525 Babur attacked India. The Mughal dynasty began. You will also get a little informed on the Indian history. So 1525 Babur began the Mughal rule in India. And in 1530 Humayun became the emperor. And after that, for some years, again, he was chased out and then came back. And then in 1555, Akbar became the emperor. After Akbar became the emperor, he changed the paradigm and said, let us have collaboration with the Rajputs. And as a result of that collaborative mindset, Mansingh was made the general. Mansingh and Todarmal, for them, because they are from Amer, Rajput kings, their guru is from Varanasi. So Raghunath Bhatta from Varanasi became their guru. So they would ask their guru, what should we do? And Guru said, let us develop Vrindavan, Braj. And Raghunath Bhatta did not say directly. Raghunath Bhatta consulted Jiva Goswami, who was younger, but he was the master strategist behind the scene. He said, ask your disciple to do this. So in 1563, an iconoclast like Akbar, who did not believe in deity worship, gave the first land grant in Vrindavan in the name of Madan Mohan and Govinda Dev. And then in 1573, and by then, Raghunath Bhatta, through Jiva Goswami, had framed the modus operandi. India has 900 million tons of sandstone, out of which 800 million tons of sandstone are in Rajasthan alone. Out of that, the pink sandstone is found in a place which is in Bharatpur district called Bayana. And specifically that place is known as Bansi Paharpur. That stone is what you see everywhere in terms of red and pink. The Red Fort and Fatehpur Sikri and all of that. All of that was built by Akbar. So all Man Singh did on request of Raghunath Bhatta is request Akbar that part of the sandstone you supply to Vrindavan. And after the job is done by the workers, they are free. Let those workers go to Vrindavan and finish. So Akbar thought, as part of this collaboration, let us keep my coalition partners happy. So it was a perfect political arrangement. And between 1555 to 1670 was the golden period of development of Braj, where everything just expanded like never before. So therefore, Akbar, he allowed this sandstone to be used. Yugal Kishore temple was built, Madan Mohan was built. Now, in 1573, Man Singh came to Jiva Goswami and said, give me blessings because I have a very important campaign. If I am victorious, I will build a beautiful temple for Govinda Dev. Jiva Goswami said, Vijayi Bhav. He became victorious, and in 1575, the drawing for Govinda Dev temple was passed. And between 1575 to 1590, this Govinda temple was built. And when it opened in 1590, it became the most prominent temple in the whole of Braj Bhumi. Jiva Goswami wanted to put the teachings of Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and Braj Bhakti in the form of architecture. So Govinda Dev was in the center shrine, Yogamaya on one side, and Vrinda Devi on another side, to demonstrate that Braj is Krishna along with his energies. Not a single symbol of power was within that architecture of Govinda Dev. No elephants, only cows, parrots, and such symbols of Braj. And so it is described, Vrindavane kalpadrume suvarna sadan Mahayoga Pitha taha ratna simhasan. And there in the Yoga Pit, on a golden simhasan, Tatevasyache sada Brajendra Nandan Shri Govinda Devanama Sakshat Madan. So 1592 Chaitanya Charitamrita was being written in Govinda Dev temple. So it's describing that period, that Shri Govinda Dev was looking beautiful, just like Cupid personified. And then Kaviraj Goswami, who was direct witness to the opulent worship of Govinda Dev in that period, says, Raja Sevai hoye taha bichitra prakar Divya Samagri Divya Ratna Alankar. Govinda was being worshipped as an opulent emperor, because ultimately the temple was built with Man Singh's support. And the worship continued with the support of the Rajput kings. Because of the royal patronage, there was opulence in worship like no one could imagine. Sahasra Sevaka Seva Kore Anukshan Sahasra Badane Seva Najaya Barnan. With millions and millions of mouths, you could not describe what worship was going on, because Millions of devotees were serving there. Today, if you go to the same Govinda temple in Vrindavan, you will see so many monkeys only. Things have changed. And therefore, when this particular temple was built, it was most resplendent. And of course, Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he did not, he departed in 1579. So he was not there to see the opening of this temple. But the construction happened under his instruction. So therefore that is being mentioned here. Nija shishye kohi Govinder mandir karaila Vamshi makara kundaladi bhushan kari dila. But just see how it is important for each one of us to serve within our boundaries. Raghunath Bhatta had influence over his disciples. But Raghunath Bhatta also knew what details to instruct the disciples is better done by Jiva Goswami. So he only indicated to Man Singh, this needs to be done. How to do it? Consult Jiva. And Jiva would then get into all the details. And in 1590, when Govinda Dev temple opened, there is a beautiful 8 verses written called Govinda Mandir Ashtakam, in glorification of Govinda. And the first verse begins by acknowledging the contribution of Akbar. Because the whole Govinda temple was a result of one donor, Akbar. That's it. Because that red sandstone was not available even to wealthy people in India at that time. It was only in emperor quota. You could not release it for anything else. And so Jiva Goswami says, Shriman Arkavaro Mahan. Arka means son. Arkavaro also is Akbar. So he glorifies him in that particular way. But the point is that Kaviraj Goswami is only mentioning one line, which shows that in the Vaishnava culture, Vaishnava qualities are respected more than other kinds of external activities. So the divine abode is mentioned in one verse, but the divine qualities of Raghunath Bhatta are described in so many verses, which shows that the focus of Vaishnava community should be in developing the Vaishnava qualities. And the divine abode exists to act as an instrument to generate divine qualities. ग्राम्य वार्ता न सुने न कहे जिह्वाय कृष्ण कथा पूजा दिते अष्टप्रहर जाय. Raghunath Bhatta would never speak Gramya Varta. Na kahe jihvaye would not, neither hear nor speak Gramya Varta, which is Prajalpa. Krishna Katha, he would always speak Krishna Katha, and Puja Dite. And he was engaged in worshipping Ashtapraharajaya in all the 8 praharas. Vaishnavera Ninda, Vaishnavera Nindya Karma Nahi Padhe Kane. Sabe Krishna bhajan kare, ei matra jane. So Raghunath Bhatta had one unique quality. Vaishnavera nindya karma. Vaishnavas, even if they made some mistakes, if they make mistakes, tendency is to criticize. Nindya karma nahi pade kane. he would not allow that criticism to fall upon his ears. And if someone said, hey, how can you sit quiet? So and so is doing like this, so and so is doing like that, he would say, Sobe Krishna bhajana kare, ei matra jane. So that was his spiritual disposition. He can afford to do that because he was not running an institution. He was a practicing Vaishnava. Whereas if you have to run an institution, an organization, then you have to come to the level of following the protocols and doing whatever is required to institute discipline. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami never did anything harmful to a Vaishnava, never inattentive in service to the Lord, and never violates rules and regulations of a pure Vaishnava. And it demonstrates the duty of a Vaishnava Acharya is to prevent violation of Vaishnava behavior, and he strictly followed regulatory principles. And Prabhupada says a Vaishnava preacher may sometimes criticize others. But Raghunath Bhatta avoided this. And even if another Vaishnava was actually at fault, Raghunath Bhatta did not criticize him, saw that everyone was engaged in Krishna's service. What was his vision? If someone would say, Arey, he is in Maya. So Raghunath Bhatta said, Maya is also Krishna's servant. So therefore, very, very exalted, we can't imitate. Prabhupada was in Amritsar, and there was a Sammelan, and so many people were speaking in that Sammelan. And practically everybody was impersonally saying everything is one, everything is one. Prabhupada got up and started walking out. So Gurudas Prabhu stopped him and said, where are you going? Prabhupada said, I am not inspired to speak here. They are all saying everything is one. Gurudas Prabhu said, Prabhupada, who will speak? Next is your turn. Prabhupada said, you speak on my behalf. He says, Prabhupada, I am so young. These are all very, very elderly sant. Prabhupada said, the level at which they are speaking, you know enough. It's more than enough, you take care. So he was called on the stage next. And Gurudas Prabhu said, you are saying everything is one, but is Rasgulla the sweet same as stool on the street? People were aghast. They had never heard an example like this. It was too bewildering for them. They came running to Prabhupada and complained, Swamiji, your disciple is telling us to eat stool on the street. Prabhupada called Gurudas Prabhu. Said, did you say like that? Gurudas Prabhu, Prabhupada, I am giving an example. They are saying everything is one, everything is one. So I said, how can Rasgulla, which is a sweet, be same as stool on the street? I was just giving an example. Prabhupada told Gurudas Prabhu, you go, leave the room. He left the room. Prabhupada turned to his different spiritual leaders who were complaining, and he said, don't worry, I'll take care of him. My American disciples give very graphic examples, So don't feel offended. So they left. Then Prabhupada called Gurudas Prabhu again, and he said, what was that example? Stool on the street and Rasgulla the sweet. Very good example. So someone came to Prabhupada and said, I have brought my guru with me and I want you to meet him. He says, of course. And then he said, my guru is Moni Baba. He will not speak. Prabhupada said, but he will hear, no? He said, yes, he will hear. Prabhupada said, that is our philosophy. We speak and make others hear. So Srila Prabhupada was definitely calling a spade a spade. Keha mane, keha na mane, sabe taradas. Je na mane tara hoye sai papanash. Mahaprabhur datta mala mananera kale prasada kadara sah bandhile na gale. So he was always having Mahaprabhu's mala around his neck while chanting the holy names. Mahaprabhur kripaye Krishna prema anargala eito kahilo tate Chaitanya kripa phala. And thanks to Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami became overwhelmed with ecstasy. Eito kahilo tate. And this Anargala Prema is Chaitanya Kripa Phala, is the phala or the fruit of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Je sakala katha shune shraddha kori tare Krishna prema dhana dena gaura hari. Whoever hears these details of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's pastimes attentively, with faith, tare Krishna prema dhana dena gaura hari, Lord Chaitanya bestows the gift of Krishna Prema to such an audience. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as he was hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit in Jagannath Puri, he instructed Raghunath Bhatta Goswami to engage in continuous Bhagavat Parayan in Vrindavan. So the Bhagavat Pathak in Puri was Gadadhar Pandit, and in Vrindavan it was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So as discussed, Srila Sanatan and Rupa Goswami left in 1554. Ashad Purnima, Sanatan Goswami left 1554. Ashwin Shravani Shukla Dwadashi, Rupa Goswami left in 1554. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami with Tulasi and Jagannath Mahaprasad around his neck and Lord Chaitanya's name. In 1579, he ended his pastimes. And his samadhi is in the Chausat Mahanta area of Brajbhumi. So, closely connected to Raghunath Bhatta was Srila Jiva Goswami. And the youngest of the Goswamis, but one who spent the longest time in renovating Braj. Birth in 1511. When Lord Chaitanya was meeting Rupa and Sanatan in 1514 in Ramakeli, Shri Jiva Adi Sangha Gone Prabhure Dekhilo Ati Prachinera Mukhe Esab Shunilo. So the description of Jiva Goswami is not from Chaitanya Charitamrita, not from Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is from Bhakti Ratnakar, written by Narhari Sarkar. So saw Lord Chaitanya from the lap of his mother in Ramakeli. And when he was 4 to 5 years old, his father Vallabh Bhatt died, inherited from Rupa and Sanatan 3 things: Buddhi, Vairagya and Bhakti. And right from his childhood, he had his Krishna Balram deities with whom he would sleep, listen to Puranic stories from his mother, and learnt grammar and Sanskrit. Alpakale Shri Jiva Buddhi Chamatkara. Alpakale Shri Jivera Buddhi Chamatkara. Vyakaranadi Shastra. Vyakarana Adi Shastre Ati Adhikara. And he developed tremendous power over Vyakaran and other Shastras. And when he would study, he would remember Krishna Balram and he would weep. And he had devotion to both Gaur-Nitai and Krishna Balram. And he would retire to lonely places And then he would be constantly crying in ecstasy. Family was in anxiety whether he'll become a sadhu. And one day he saw Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was crying out in ecstasy his names and rolling on the ground uncontrolled. All night he could not sleep, blessed by touching the head with his feet and embracing and soothing him with sweet words. Lord Chaitanya appeared in his dream and with his own hands surrendered Jiva at the lotus feet of Nityananda. Karuna Samudra Gaura Nityananda Rai Pada Padma Dilen Jivera Mathai, and gave him at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Paramavatsαλye Puna Kore Alingan Kahilo Amritamay Prabodha Bachan. Nityananda Prabhu embraces him and speaks to him with great affection. Shri Gaura Sundara Mahaprema Vishtahoya Prabhur Nityananda Pade Dilo Samarpiya. He offers him to the lotus feet of Nityananda. Nityananda Shri Jivera Kohoe Bar Bar Ei Mora Prabhu Hauka Sarvasva Tomar. Nityananda Prabhu speaks to Sri Jiva and says again and again, Ei Mora Prabhu Hauka. What you see here, Sri Chaitanya, he is my Lord. And accept him to be your life and soul, Sarvasva Tomar. He would hear from his mother stories of his uncles, Rup and Sanatan. His heart would pine for their darshan and seva. 1528, he was almost 17 years old. He decided to go to Vrindavan. He took a boat from Ramakeli to Fatehabad and then goes to Navadvipa. Navadvipa was a capital for Vedanta and Nyaya. When he approaches Navadvip, he gets the news that Lord Nityananda Prabhu is right there. And then he has come from Khadadaha with Srivas Pandit. He falls at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is filled with ecstasy to see the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan. He dances in ecstasy and places his feet on the head of Shri Jiva. Nityananda Prabhu takes Shri Jiva on a Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, which has been described in great detail. And by your infinite kindness, I have the darshan of Lord Chaitanya's Leela Sthali, says Jiva Goswami, and tells Nityananda Prabhu, kindly permit me to go to Nilachal Puri and have darshan of Lord Chaitanya and see the places connected to Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Puri. After returning from Nilachal, I will stay with you and serve you all life. Kindly show mercy and accept me. Nityananda Prabhu saw the divine luster, the broad forehead, the bhav in the eyes of Jiva, and he could see that this Jiva is going to be the leader of the Vaishnavas in Braj. The request of Jiva Goswami was reasonable. He had only seen Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was in the arms of his mother when he was only 3 years old. He had no adult memory of Lord Chaitanya. And if he is going to be the leader of the Vaishnavas and lead the Vaishnavas till 1606 in Vrindavan, a few days association with Lord Chaitanya, which was given by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Gopal Bhatta, all got personal association. And this request is being made to the most merciful, Nityananda. But how the flow of mercy is revealed by the devotees is inconceivable. What does Nityananda Prabhu say? When Jiva Goswami says, can you just permit me to go to Nilachal and come back? Nityananda Prabhu says, Prabhu kahe shigra braje karah prayan tarvamshe prabhu diya chena se sthan. Nityananda Prabhu says, Jiva, shigra braje karah prayan. Immediately leave for Vrindavan. No Jagannath Puri business. No Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu darshan and association business. Karaha prayan. Leave immediately. Tomar vamshe prabhu diya chena se sthan. Because Jiva, Lord Chaitanya has given to your family Vrindavan. Your family has received a great gift from Lord Chaitanya. What is that gift? Braj. Prabhu pritye taramathe dharila charan ropa sanatana sambandhe koila alingan. Lord Nityananda Prabhu placed his feet on the head of Srila Jiva Goswami. Prabhu pritye taramathe dharila charan. With great affection placed his feet. And more affection was why? Rupa sanatana sambandhe koila alingan. Remembering that they are connected to Rupa and Sanatan, he embraces them and gives the instruction. And this verse is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Antalila. Agya dila shighra tumi jah Vrindavane tomar vamshe prabhur diyachen se sthane. So the previous verse was from Bhakti Ratnakar. The same is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Agya dila, he gave him instruction. Shighra tumi, quickly, jaha Vrindavane. Proceed towards Vrindavan. Tomar vamshe prabhu. Your family has been given by Lord Chaitanya. Diyachen se sthane, that Brajbhumi. And therefore, it is described, the greatest asset which a devotee receives in bhakti is the seva and the vow. Vrat and seva. And therefore, Prabhulage dharma karma chhade bhaktagan bhakta dharma hani prabhu na hoye sahan. So the vrat and the seva are the two most important assets of a devotee. So Jiva Goswami takes the order, and his minimum request of having darshan of Lord Chaitanya and visiting Nilachal is denied by Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu tells him, go. But Nityananda Prabhu has the power and the moral authority to give this order because Nityananda Prabhu himself has followed Lord Chaitanya's order. From 1516 to 1534, Lord Chaitanya was in Puri for 18 years. For 18 years, Jagannath Puri was the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would dance in Rath Yatra and devotees from Bengal would come for 4 months. But right after the first Rath Yatra, when devotees came, Lord Chaitanya gave order to Nityananda. Prativarshe Nila chale tumina asiba gaudarahi mora ichha sapala koriba. Nityananda, all Bengal devotees can come to Puri every year except you. you will not come. You will not come. God rahe mora ichha safal kariba. You preach on my behalf. So we are always saying Gaur Nitai, Gaur Nitai, Gaur Nitai. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu hardly stayed together. For those 17 years, Nityananda never came. And therefore, he has experienced getting order and following. Achintya Shaktye Tahara Ghatan Ye Karihata Tuhi Nahika Niyam. So therefore, the greatest spiritual power is unleashed in bhakti by submissively following the order and the instructions of the Vaishnavas. And by doing that, we realize that the entire creation has been formed when Brahma surrendered to the order which he heard. Tapa, tapa and tapa. So therefore, the greatest accomplishments have happened compared to the accomplishment of creating the universe. What is any other kind of technology accomplishment? So the greatest accomplishment in universe has happened by a Vaishnava demonstrating Vaishnava etiquette of being submissive to the order. And therefore Nityanand Prabhu is also heavy and tells Jiva, go. Go via Varanasi, learn the Shastras, learn Sanskrit, become better at Sanskrit than all the people there in Varanasi. And he learns from Madhusudan Vachaspati. Tara agya aila agya phala paila Shastra kori kota kala bhakti pracharila. So Jiva Goswami accepted that agya. And because of following that agya phala paila, when you accept that seed of that order, very soon you will also experience the fruit. Agya phala. Shastra kori katakala bhakti pracharila. That person who never saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on to write 400,000 verses. Went on to consider all kinds of collaborations and negotiations with the Mughals. Went on to oversee all the construction. Went on to get all the land grants. He became the person who established the institution of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. Lord Chaitanya had only unleashed the mission. The institution to support the mission in perpetuity was established by Sri Jiva. Eitina Guru Ar Raghunath Das Iha Sabar Charana Bando Jaramoi Das. Dear child, the merciful Lord has been pleased to assign to your family a permanent place in Vrindavan. Lose no time, go there to help your uncles. Fulfill Lord Chaitanya's tasks. After them, you will have to shoulder the heavy responsibility of leading the Vaishnavas, laying down firmly the philosophical foundation of Mahaprabhu's religion of love. Therefore, before Vrindavan, go to Kashi and learn Vedanta from Sri Madhusudan Vachaspati. And he became the Madhusudan Vachaspati favorite student of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, learned Nyaya and Advaita in Kashi. And then when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became Vaishnava, then Madhusudan Vachaspati became his number one student in Kashi. He was impressed with the caliber and intelligence of Sri Jiva. In 1530, Sri Jiva became established as the foremost student of Pandit of Nyaya and Vedanta. Kaushite Shri Jivere Prashamse Sarvathai Nyaya Vedanta Adi Shastre Oiche Kehonai. Nyaya Vedanta Adi Shastra shastre oiche keho nai. Nobody was like Jiva. And after Vedanta, the height of his glory, every nook and corner, Rupa and Sanatan were installing vigrahas, compiling bhakti shastras, discovering lost holy places. And this team of Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatt Goswami, Prabodhananda Saraswati, Kashishwar Krishnadas Kaviraj, Rupa and Sanatan took Jiva to all of them and introduced them, gave their blessings. Jiva Goswami is loved by everybody because he was the youngest nephew of Rupa and Sanatan. He was always at the forefront of Shastric discussion, and Sanatan Goswami advised Jiva to take initiation from Rupa Goswami. So Rupa had only one disciple, which is Jiva. And he lived with Rupa Goswami and served by collecting materials for service for his vigraha, took his Mahaprasad, he was massaging his feet, and whatever he required for writing literature, he was collecting the palm leaves and cleaning up the palm leaves and everything. One day, Sri Vallabh Bhatt came to see Rupa Goswami. And then Rupa Goswami showed him Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu manuscript. Vallabh Bhatt saw one particular verse, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat Pishachi Hriday Vartate. As long as the ghost of the desire for bhukti and mukti, then a person can never be peaceful. Bhakti cannot manifest in that person's heart. So Vallabh Bhatt said, instead of calling bhukti and mukti as pishachi, ghost, you should edit this and call it Vyapnoti Hridayam Yavat Bhukti Mukti Sprihagraha. As long as desire for mukti and bhukti is in the heart, bhakti cannot manifest. Rupa Goswami accepted with humility. Jiva Goswami was very angry that how dare Vallabh Bhatt instruct or edit like this. My Gurudev has accepted because of humility. But he goes to Vallabh Bhatt and tells him, it is not correct what you told my Gurudev. He has accepted out of humility. Vallabh Bhatt was taken aback. Who's this? So Vallabh Bhatt says, but mukti, sadhakas are aspiring for mukti, to call it ghost, pishachi, is it right? Jiva Goswami said, it is not mukti which is called ghost. It is a desire for mukti which is called as ghost. You do not understand it properly. And Vallabh Bhatt was elderly. Jiva Goswami is very young. And he says, if a desire enters the heart of a devotee, it sucks bhakti ras away, keeps him disturbed and restless, just like one possessed by a ghost. Only a devotee is without any of such desires. Then he says, Pishachi could have been avoided in the shloka. But if the word Pishachi was not there, the impact will not come. And therefore, it is perfect that Pishachi word is used. Only then the forceful meaning of material desires manifest. Vallabh Bhatt thought he is correct. My mind got agitated just by hearing Pishachi. I didn't realize it was a desire for mukti, not for mukti. So Vallabh Bhatt accepted Jiva Goswami's version, and he was taking bath in Yamuna thinking, this is a very sharp guy. Who's this person? Who was this young man? And then he goes to Rupa Goswami and says, who was this young man sitting next to you? He came and, gave me some edits. Rupa Goswami says, he is my disciple. He's come back from Bengal a few days back. Vallabh Bhatt says, he has extraordinary intelligence and promises to be an acharya. And this is what he corrected me. And then Vallabh Bhatt goes. Rupa Goswami turns to Jiva and says, why did you correct that? You are proud. You do not have humility. You do not deserve to live here. Go away. Do not show your face till you have conquered your anger. You are supposed to be a vairagi, but you have not demonstrated vairagya towards anger. Jiva Goswami is rejected by Shri Rupa. And with his heart bleeding with great remorse, he goes near the Yamuna and lives in a crocodile hole without eating for many, many months. Sanatana Goswami one day happens to see Jiva in that state, completely emaciated, his entire body falling apart. He comes to Rupa Goswami and says, "How's your progress in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?" And Rupa Goswami says, "Actually, it would have been completed long time back, but my assistant Jiva is not there." So Rupa Goswami also followed the principles. He did not think, oh, my efficiency will be decreased if Jiva goes. But he thought it is important for Jiva to learn this lesson. So Sanatana Goswami says, I have just come back by seeing him. He's miserable. He's performing austerity, penance. His life is a wreck. His life is hanging by just a thread. Lord Chaitanya has given his principles, and one of his principles is Jivedaya. Why don't you follow that, O Rupa? That hint was sufficient for Rupa Goswami, and he called him back. And in this way, this pastime is very significant, because in this no one is to blame. This pastime was orchestrated by the Lord to set an example for others on how to live in Braj. Third, Rupa Goswami set the example of humility by making Jiva accept this change. Jiva Goswami was setting the example of Guru Nishtha. Vallabh Bhatt was setting the example of magnanimity for accepting such suggested changes by such a young person who was equivalent to be his son or disciple. But he was open-minded to accept that. And Jiva Goswami's commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions Vallabh Bhatta's commentary also as an acceptable reading of this shloka. So he adds that. Radha Damodarji comes in the dream of Rupa Goswami and says, "Give me to Jiva." And he gives to Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami serves Radha Damodar with heart and soul. And he would be in ecstasy. And this temple was built in 1558 after Rupa Goswami departed. A man called Alisha Chaudhary sells the land on which this temple stands. One of the rooms of the temple contains Jiva Goswami's valuable collection, and hardly any of it is available now. The mention of the entire list of Jiva Goswami's collection is there in Vrindavan Research Institute. So when all the Goswamis had left, Shunyayatam Mahagoshtham Girindro Ajagarayate Vyagratundayate Kundam Jivato Rahitasya Me. Without any of the other Goswamis, he was feeling desolate. 12 forests are coming to bite me. Radha Kund appears to be the mouth of a gaping serpent. Govardhan appears to be a huge mouth of a tiger, devoid of association of devotees. So many people who were coming to Braj, they surrendered to Jiva. And it is described that in 1576 and 77, Janva Mataji also came after the Kheturi festival, and Jiva Goswami showed the Brajmandal Parikrama to Janva Mataji. And then he wrote the books as I described. The books consisted of the Sandarbhas, Harinamamrita Vyakaran, and it is described that all of these books are in different categories. Vyakaran category, Stava Sangraha, which is different poetry like Krishna, Archa Deepika, Madhav, Mahotsav, Sankalpa, Karpadruma. Leelas like Gopal Champu, Tikas like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Gopala, Tapani Upanishad, Brahma Samhita, Ujjvala Nilamani. Sandarbhas like Tattva Bhagavat, Paramatma, Bhakti, Priti, Sarva Samvadani, Tikas. Then it was Jiva Goswami who gave order for the books of the Goswamis to be sent to Bengal with Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda. When it comes to the place in Bengal which is known as Ban Vishnupur, there is a strange king, Birambir, who would study Puranas in the day and steal at night. Very strange. One and only. He had a dual profession. So he stole away thinking that these are all jewels. Srinivasa Acharya was totally disappointed and heartbroken. He sent Narottam and Shyamananda to other places to preach, and he continued searching. And then one day, when he was hearing Katha from one of the court Pandits, he detected some fault and corrected him. King Birambir was impressed. And then King Birambir called Srinivasa Acharya and heard from him. And then King Birambir confessed that I have stolen this. And when the news reached Vrindavan, everybody was in ecstasy. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness was established by Srila Prabhupada in 1966. But it was Srila Jiva Goswami who in 1534 established the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. Vishwa means international. Vaishnava means society. So therefore the International Society of Vaishnavas was established by Jiva in 1534. And he gave a summary of the charter designed for global application. Just like Prabhupada gave 7 purposes, for Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha he gave 6 categories, 6 sections. First, he said the Vaishnava community should be organized in these 6 divisions. First he called as Manada Mandali. Manada Mandali was for honoring committee. Honoring means deity worship and caring for devotees. Caring for the deities and caring for the devotees. Second was Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prachara Mandali, which had 3 divisions. Which had 2 divisions, or no, 3 divisions. Prachar means preaching. So one was Nama Prachar or Kirtan Prachar or Katha Prachar. Speaking Katha, speaking Kirtan, singing Kirtan, all of that. Second was Shastra Prachar, which means acquisition, preservation, publication and distribution of literatures, Vaishnava literatures, like what we are doing at Bhaktivedanta Research Center. Research history of these books and authors. Third was Shastra Shiksha, systematic study like Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, all of this. So, Nama Prachar, Shastra Prachar, Shastra Shiksha was all part of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prachara Mandali. Third was known as Jigyasa Mandali, which is investigative committee. So investigation is not some criminal investigation. This Jigyasa Mandali is that evaluating the character, background and nature of a devotee before assigning that person service. Understanding the psychophysical nature before assigning the service was known as Jigyasa Mandali. More than background check, also figuring out what they can do in future. Fourth, Utsav Mandali, festival committee, arranging celebrations. Fifth was Pashanda Dalana Mandali, which is smashing the opposition. A group of devotees who are full-time engaged in only smashing. rational defense of bhakti against arguments which are opposed to conclusions of Vaishnava Siddhanta. Sixth, Bhakti Anusthana Mandali, which is devotional practice committee, maintaining of ancient sacred places, building of new temples, and exploring new areas to establish temples. So that is known as Bhakti Anusthana Mandali. So these were the 6 mandalis established by Jiva Goswami as part of his charter for Vishwa Vaishnav Raja Sabha. And so in 1606 or 1608, Srila Jiva Goswami ends his leelas and pastimes. So, in summary, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad is Rupa Manjari, and 1466 to 1554, Sanatan Goswami, and Rupa Goswami was serving as a Manjari to Lalita Sakhi. Sanatan Goswami appeared 1465, ended his pastimes in 1554. He is known as Rati Manjari or Labhanga Manjari, and he was serving Indulekha Sakhi. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami appeared 1505, departed 1579. He is Raga Manjari and he serves Tunga Vidya. Sri Jiva Goswami appeared 1511, ended his pastime 1608. Is Vilasa Manjari and he serves Rangadevi. Gopal Bhatta Goswami appears 1503, departs 1578, some say 1586. Guna Manjari or Ananga Manjari, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami serves Champak Lata Devi. Raghunath Das Goswami appears 1494 and departs in, some say 1586, others say 1595. He is Rasa or Rati Manjari and he serves Chitra Sakhi. Like that. And Lokanath Goswami is Manjulali and he serves Vishakha Sakhi. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Kasturi Manjari, serves Sudevi Sakhi. Like this, the 8 Manjaris who are assisting the 8 Sakhis and what is their identity in the spiritual world. And in this way, the 6 Goswamis, Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha, Echai Gosai Jar Charana Vandan, Jaha Hoite Vighnanash Abhishta Puran. In my own personal practice, in various projects, whenever I have experienced challenges, obstacles, difficulties, when it appears logic, reason is not working, this prayer has helped. Praying to the Goswamis has always created in miraculous opening of doors. And therefore, the Goswamis have given us not only their life, their example, but also the opportunity to pray at their lotus feet, and they are available to assist us in clearing our path on the road of bhakti. And therefore, even while executing the Govardhani Kovalet, so many times there was very, very challenging situations, and I would just come in front of the altar and pray to the Goswamis, and things would change. So when in challenging situations, do take shelter of prayer at the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis. So I'm extremely grateful to the ISKCON of Seattle and Harivilas Maharaj and all the management here for giving me an opportunity to share about the 6 Goswamis. I always had a desire to, prepare about all of them and speak. So this 4 sessions gave me a great opportunity. And we are also grateful to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada for revealing the glories of the Goswamis to us in a form where we can appreciate. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll sing the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Krishnot-kirtana gana nartana parau Premamritam-bho nidhi Dhira dhira jana priyau priyakarau Nirmatsarau pujitau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharao Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Sadharma Sanstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau Sri Gauranga Gunanovarnana Vidhau Shraddha Samriddhyanvitau Papotapanikrintano tanubhritam Govinda Ganamritai Anandam Buddhivardhanaika Nipunau Kaivalya Nistarakau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau Tyaktva-turnamashesha mandalapati Shrenim sadatochhavat Bhutva dena ganesha kau karunaya Kaupena kantha shritau Gopi bhavara samritabdhilahari Kallola magnau muhur Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau कूजत कोकिलहंस सारसगणा कीर्णे मयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलबिटपा श्रीयुक्तबृन्दावने राधाकृष्णम् अहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ मुदा वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ संख्यापूर्वकनामगाननटिभिः कालावसानीकृतौ निद्राहारविहारकादिविजितौ चात्यन्तदीनौ च यौ राधाकृष्णगुणस्मृतिर्मधुरिमा नन्देन सम्मोहितौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ राधाकुण्डतटे कलिन्दतनया तीरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमोन्मादवशादशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा गायन्तौ च कदा हरेर्गुणवरम् भावाभिभूतौ मुदा वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ हे राधे ब्रजदेविके च ललिते हे नन्दशूनो कुतः श्रीगोवर्धनकल्पपादपतले कालिन्दिवने कुतः घोषन्ताविति सर्वतो ब्रजपुरे खेदैर्महाविह्वलौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ Shri Shad Goswami Ashtakam ki. I'd also like to welcome our brahmacharis who have come from ISKCON, Rukmini Dwarkadish Mandir, His Grace Devavrata Prabhu and Ganganath Prabhu. They are traveling, preaching, distributing books, and they are distributing Chaitanya Charitamrita in University campus in Washington. So they have been engaged in book distribution for many years, and believe me, it's extremely challenging to live in a brahmachari ashram in North America, and they are amongst the very, very rare endangered species. So we pray that their mission is successful, because India is a totally different situation, where almost we have 2,500 to 3,000 brahmacharis all over India, and we have 10,000 students in college campuses chanting 16 rounds. Every college you go, you have a college house where you can have prasad. Yeah, but that is India. But here, They don't have that luxury because it's very, very difficult. Like the Goswamis, traveling and preaching and spreading the holy names. Let us express our gratitude to them. Haribo! Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Ramo Ramo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ramo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ramo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Ramo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jai 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Harinama Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Nila Madhav Bhagavan ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Aarti is 7, no? 7:30. We'll start at 6. Either topic irukku.
3 ways of converting home into temple. Hare Krishna. So His Grace Gauranga Prabhu is preaching in US since 2005. It's almost 18 glorious years that he has been visiting US. And within the US trip, he makes sure that Seattle gets a very prominent place in his tour. And also he spends the maximum time in US. In other places he just visits for 1 or 2 days, but here he's almost spent 4 full days. And in terms of the sessions and seminar, the topics that he present here in Seattle, like he picks the best of the jewel from his treasures. Like in 2017, he presented 5 potent forms of devotional service. 2018, whole Srimad Bhagavatam overview, the 12 cantos overview. Then 2019, Sharanagati. 2021 we didn't have because of COVID. Last year it was Jagannath Leela. And this year it was 6 Goswamis. So let's express our gratitude and thank His Grace Gauranga Prabhu for treating all of us with so much special. So he has got a special love for all of us. So let's thank him by loudly chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And today, Sunday feast, Prabhu will be covering on the topic of 3 ways of converting your home into temple. So please be here sharp at 6 o'clock. And also, as Prabhu has said, we have few exalted devotees visiting us and staying with us. Devrata Prabhu is not new to us. He kind of grew up here. He studied here and we see him how he grew spiritually. and also Ganganath Prabhu. So let's also welcome and thank him for attending all the series by Gauranga Prabhu. And also I would like to acknowledge 2 congregations have joined online over the Zoom, and they were there for all the 4 sessions. That is the devotees from Calgary, led by Vivek Prabhu. Please thank them by chanting Hari Bol. Hari Bol! And also from Caribbean Islands, Caribbean Institute of Higher Education, led by Sanatana Vigra Prabhu. Their team has also joined all the 4 sessions over the Zoom. So let's also thank them by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So with this, this was the final session on the 6 Goswamis, but we'll again continue at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I had forgotten all the previous years.
And you know